so that they create different pieces, different outcomes. A simple way, I suppose, to put items together is simply to stick them together. However, that's not so sturdy as I'd like it to be. We could also tie them together to try and make them sturdier again. Let's think of some ways that are more interesting and that get the children's brains working a little bit. For example, if I want to attach this to this, it's a poor surface, it's very limited here, and also it's a curving surface I'm trying to attach it to. So, if I'm wise, I could do something like this. Let the children figure it out themselves or make suggestions, and you can have these pieces ready. If I do this, I now have a good firm grip I can establish on the container. And with a little bit more effort, that will be quite strong. That's one joining method. Myself and Laura will give you a handout of joining methods, so don't worry about remembering each of them. This joining method is nice and simple for even the little ones. We have more complex ones, however. Let's say I want to attach a wheel. I want to make this into a tank, for example, and I'd like to attach perhaps a moving part, moving wheels. Now I can stick on the likes of this, forming wheels at the bottom. We may be able to organise a roll on them, but if we do something that I've prepared earlier, if we take the piece and draw it on to the box, maybe another wheel here or a further wheel here, you take about the diameter of this form that you're putting in the cylinder and simply mark off. This is when we would use the knife. Get the children to place the piece down. That's not good, is it? And they draw the diameter, they bring it across to the other side, and then you work with the knife to put it in, to cut out this piece. You only start work with the knife. Bear in mind that the knives, if you're using them at all, need supervision. The craft knife, if you're using it, most people don't tend to use a knife except the way they, for example, would cut with a knife that they eat their dinner with. You need only to make a slight incision with a knife, but the way also to keep a knife in mind is that the blade runs lengthways, horizontally. So we try and avoid using it point down, but rather use it on the flat. If you were cutting card, a nice method for working on card is to score, as we call it. And again, the blade is kept flat. I don't cut right through the card. I've scored it so I get nice, clean, sharp bends. Here I need to use a knife. I'm trying to think of a way that I can attach this. I know I've already mentioned this approach, which I can do with masking tape. However, I'd like to have some movement, that this piece could move around perhaps like a periscope. So what I can do is, starting with my knife, having outlined the circumference of the piece I want to introduce, I can work then just to make a slight incision in the box. I'm not going to cut out this circle, and the reason I'm not going to cut this circle out is because I want it to serve as teeth for grip. These Tetra Paks are great. They're strong, and I have to make a number of cuts like this so that I can bend the pieces away. Don't cut the card away at all. You'll notice that very soon, as soon as I'd made my incision, I took the knife away. And replace any work you can do with the scissors, you do with the scissors. Here's a sturdy join with movement, and almost without not needing the use of masking tape or glue indeed. I mentioned that one good individual task for children after free play is to wrap some of their items, and I told you I'd give my reasons why. Well, one reason for wrapping the forms is so that the children do engage with the surfaces and the form of the pieces, so that they begin by wrapping them to understand many sides and edges, or whether these things roll, and how to close off surfaces. Another good reason for doing this is that you lose the distracting advertising information, and they become more like the forms that they really and truly are. Equally, it's nice to be able to decorate on a plain paper surface. So that's just some answers to those questions. Just before I finish, I want you to get into the thinking that structures that are made from boxes don't have to just end up as being boxes. This one is it's a cylinder from salt, as you can see, but it actually it's arranged to be a mobile or a bird feeder. And I'm going to give you some other examples in a moment. So I asked if you could